Now this, Anthropic has a new AI model, but it's not for public use, not because it doesn't work, but because apparently it works too well. They say its ability to find and exploit security flaws could be dangerous without safeguards. That's why Anthropic is only releasing Claude Mythos to a hand-picked of group companies as part of its Project Glasswing initiative. My first question, Taylor, is what companies?
Yeah, AWS, Google's in there, Apple, NVIDIA, CrowdStrike, JP Morgan, Amazon. There's a handpicked of about 40. Those are the biggies that we know. It sounds scary, but we got to go. As Jackie says, the genie's out of the bottle. We need to do this because if we don't, China will, and China is. So we do this. It sounds scary. We could end up in the wrong hands. But I think still the benefits outweigh the risk. The benefit of all of the business plans that we've talked about, AI on the battlefield on the other end of that will outweigh any of the risks of it ending up in the wrong hands, but still very hopeful and excited about AI.
Can I just point out a couple of things that stuck out to me? Because I'm a little nervous about it. Like you, I vote for AI. I think we don't have a choice, mainly. But if you're so concerned about it, why the splashy announcement? Like, why are you parading it in front of the public? You could have done this a different way. And, you know, hey, who could go wrong with these companies? These are the same people who addicted your children to social media, right? I mean, I think there are issues we need to be thinking about, but I am pro-AI.
I can answer the second part of that question. Because Anthropic, to me, and this is without a personal judgment, but they have been the ones that are constantly against the White House. They're the ones wanting more regulation, more restriction, donating, since the 2020 election cycle, $200 million to Democrats and Democratic causes by their upper management and their backers and even some of their employees. They're against the national policy framework of the White House. They want the kill switch. They want all these regulations. Part of me wants that too, because this story does give me the chills. Oh my God, what if this gets in the hands of the wrong people? But to your point, and your point, I think we've all made the point, the genie, it already has. I'm just wondering why Anthropic is making all of this noise right now, because to me, they're not just any AI company.
But it's an arms race.
They're a very liberal one who's very anti the White House.
Jackie, we think about what's happening in Maine and other states where they're blocking all these things. This is obviously a continuation of all of that. What happens now in your mind?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't know. The way they're making this sound, it sounds like Frankenstein, and you're unleashing something that, you know, potentially you didn't realize the strength of what it was that you actually built. But when you talk about Anthropic and more regulation and sort of guardrails and how they're putting themselves out. We've talked about, well, we were just talking about the blue and red state divide in general. We've also talked about data centers and people not in my backyard. And I think you're going to end up seeing, if this isn't regulated on a federal level, which the Trump administration is trying to do, states take vastly different points of view on this. And so, you know, red states, I think, will be more liberal with where technology and AI goes. Blue states won't be. I think that will contribute to the divide that I see coming in the next 50 years between the states, that sets them up and pits them up against each other.
Jerry, if you were leading a company, if you were the CEO, would you want to be on that list?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to balance that out with you being upset that people have it.
But you know, we didn't even talk about the actual threat in this specific case. We just lit it over to AI, good or bad. How about this? So if it fell into the wrong hands, it could easily exploit critical infrastructure like electric grids, power plants, hospitals. And the company itself got surprised by something that the AI did. One of the employees wandering around having lunch gets an unexpected email saying that something had just been compromised by mistake. So I think we have to think about it seriously and really understand the potential problems so that we can then stop it.
My response, though, is that we have people smart enough to then outsmart that. Yeah. That's how confident I am in, like, American ingenuity and the American workforce.
I think you should temper
that
a little. Because if we have a tool that says that it can outsmart everything and we're worried about the risks, to think that a human can outsmart the...
But if the tool hacks the hospital, you don't think we can come up with a solution?
If you have a disaster recovery program.
Before we go, We were talking about OpenAI and how they pulled back one of their models because it was using too much power, and they said it was like a test. A lot of these things are being tested and developed, and we don't necessarily know what the downfall is or what they can do, and that's also partially what's scary.